Good afternoon, everyone. Today's video we will be installing the Compustar T9 kit alarm remote start. I will go ahead and show you a quick way to install one of these. I mean, when I say quick, not necessarily mean like 30 minutes, but quick in the sense of you being able to do it. So get your stuff ready, get your tools, let's get to it. Alright, we will begin by taking off kick panel, door sill, and the dash itself. So if I recall, there's going to be a bolt behind here, and then you're going to have to pop off this little cover right here. It'll reveal a bolt. If I believe this one pops off by itself, I will test that out and show you if it does. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started and let's move on. So we got the door sill popped off. All it is just little clips that hold it. It locks in to these little slots right here. So just kind of gently pry it off slowly, starting from the back. Once you get that off, you do have to take this off. It'll be a little bit tugging involved in this one, but it'll just pop off. It's only held by these. That will reveal the twist off cap, which in return will get you to take this off. This one's the same thing, clips. Once you get this off, let me see if I can take it off real quick. Yep, it just twists off like a bolt. Bear with me. You see, put it aside. That way you don't lose it. This one just pops off. Let me see if I can do it by one hand. I have to use my pry tool for this one. Looks like I'm going to need both of my hands for this one, so I will go ahead and turn the camera off unless it pops up by itself. But I'll go ahead and take this off and then show you what it looks like. So this one required a little bit more tugging than normal. The usual, this thing goes into these little slots, so you just pull the panel this way towards you and this will release. That's all it's being held. So you can see right here, two of them. It inserts this way. So once you get that out, here's the bolt, 10 mil, and then you got another 10 mil right here. And then we'll keep moving on this one. All right, once you get the 10 mil bolts taken out, you will need to take this off. It's held by 4 clips, so kind of get the idea. Pull this way, and it'll pop off. Put that aside, and we'll move on taking this off. Alright, since we are moving on to taking off these lower dash panel, same process. This is held by 4 little clips. Oh, something got stuck. As you can see, it was held by this clip, and then it just kind of glides in. Little locking tabs. Nothing really is hard to take off. So just kind of go in this direction. Kind of slowly start from one end, work your way out. Once you get that out, make sure you unplug the cables and the hood release and also the TPMS reset. So pretty common sense on that one, but I still kind of had to mention it. You will need to remove the steering column bracket, only held by 10 mil, so pretty easy. Once you get that out, everything is pretty much accessible. The wires that you will need will be on this ignition harness. Some of them will be on the kick panel, some of them will be on the fuse box. So we will begin by unstripping some of these, and we're kind of going to be tapping it on this general area. That way it's kind of away from the steering column. So some people will tap it from here. I can't remember where I put the brain before, but I will show you all that once I kind of remember. So let's go ahead and begin this one and move forward. All right, at this point, you might see that there's so many wires everywhere. That's common when you're preparing everything. I will be mounting the brain between these two harnesses in the back. I will also show that once it's all zip tied back there when it's all done. Just kind of preliminary, get an idea on how you're going to be running your stuff. For the ground, I will be using this one. I will go ahead and you don't necessarily have to sand it. It's already bare metal, but I mean, kind of up to you. I won't even sand this one. It's already pretty much straight metal. What else? On this one, you will not be needing the accessory, but I will be cutting that off. So you're only gonna need the 12 volt. This is the 12 volt wire right here. The green light generally is for parking light positive, but on this one, I changed it to the starter 2 signal. The white one is accessory. Like I said, you don't need that one, so I will cut that off. The yellow will be the starter. The blue would be ignition 2, and the green will be ignition 1. And this pink wire right here is for the blade TB, because you will need to power up that bypass module. We'll go ahead and start off with that. Like I said, I'll put the ground like right here, and then kind of route these behind this. I will be taping this, so I know some people will say tape that, might cut from the metal. Yep, I will tape this, and I'll be running to the ignition harness right here. So I'll go ahead and show you all that once it's all wired up. Let's get to it. All right, to begin with, as usual, you get always do the ground first. Make sure you leave a little slack. That way it's not so tight. So that should be more than enough slack. Run your power wire behind here, kind of following the OEM harness right here. Zip tie it. We will start with the 12 volt. As you can see, it's cut to length. It's not zip tied yet. So you're gonna need these or a voltmeter. Some say it's always the best to do voltmeter. I kind of disagree, but then again I agree. But for these type of vehicles, I know this by heart. So just to kind of show you, it'll light up. That's 12 volt. 12 volt, no key. So some people do connect these together to one wire, but every time the second 12 volt is available, I always do them separately. That way you're powering all the relays for the starter, the ignition, and things like that separate. So some people, like I said, some people do it differently, but I try to do it to the best of my knowledge, the best way to do it for me. So I've never had any issues with these for years. So, but yeah, these are the two 12 volt, the white and blue, and the white and red. Always confirm. Volt. So go ahead and tape that up. We'll move on to the next one. All right, I got everything kind of wired up just to show you. Now I did test all these, so I'm kind of making it a little bit easier on your side. So, but I always recommend for anybody to test it before you even tap into it. As I mentioned before, the 12 volt would be these two wires. So red and red white goes to white blue. White red, that's tested. The yellow wire, which is the starter side from the Compustar, goes to green black. The second ignition will be the blue wire from the Compustar going to the blue and yellow. Now for that one, always double check. There's a jumper setting right here. Let me see if I can pop it off. I don't know if you can see that little thing, but it says ignition. So just kind of double check, make sure, because sometimes there's instances that it was on accessory or on start position. So basically that blue wire, when you choose the setting, will provide whatever you choose. So on this one, I chose for it to be a second ignition. But yeah, blue to blue yellow. For the ignition, it'll be on this harness right here. It'll be black and red. It's kind of looping on top. That will be the green and the pink from the Blade TB bypass module. The black white, it'll be plugged into the green white from the Compustar. Generally, like I said, this was the parking light positive signal. So whatever, if you have a positive parking that you need to tap into for the vehicle, that's what you're going to use. But in this case, I have to change the setting for this wire. Instead of it being parking light positive, it's now going to provide a second start signal, because this vehicle does have a second start signal wire. So, but yeah, black white to the Compustar's green white. The accessory wire from the Compustar, which is white, like I said, you don't need that. All it does is power the radio, which you don't really need to power up if you don't have to, but I already cut that wire. So when you wire these, kind of try to stagger them, that way they're not bundled into one spot. So I always double tape, so I do one tape first and then do another one. That's just me. So some people won't do it that way. So you can see everything is cut to length, so when I start kind of cleaning everything up, it'll kind of bundle up just like the factory. So that's kind of how you want it to be. But for right now, they will be left moving, so I know where I'm going to be putting the tape, and I know they're not going to be so tight. But yeah, so I mean, you're kind of getting the idea on how it's supposed to look. So like I said, just kind of stagger them a little bit so they're not bundled up into one big spot on the same spot. So, but yeah, so far we got the ignition harness set up. You got the ground. You will be needing wires from the OBD2, so there's just two clips right here. It was mounted on the top, so just push it and then pull it back. Push these two clips on the sides. We will be going to install the horn, the door lock, the negative parking light, and the dome supervision. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up and then move on to the next wires that we need. Alright, excuse me. We are moving on to the door lock situation. For this one, you will be using the orange wire. You can see right here, the orange and orange white. The orange will be hooked up to purple, which is this wire right here, and then the orange white will be hooked up to the green black. Now you have to set this for a second pulse. Basically what it'll do is whenever it's remote starting, it'll unlock the door. That way if the factory alarm is equipped, it won't trigger the factory alarm. This also is the door lock wires. They're kind of tagged in together. So, but anyway, like I said, you just have to pulse the unlock 2 times automatically. Wherever you buy the unit from, you can ask them to do that. They should know how to do it already. 2 pulse. It'll unlock the driver door first pulse, and it'll unlock the rest of the door on the second pulse. What also that does is on the second pulse, it'll disarm the factory alarm while utilizing the door lock wires. So, but yeah, use the orange to purple. That's the position. Orange white to green black, and that'll take care of the door locks and the factory alarm and disarm. So we are now on the dome supervision. That'll be the red white color from the Compustar. You have to set this to 45-second delay. Basically, it'll, once you lock it and arm it, it won't arm fully until 45 seconds. That way it gives the dome light time to shut off, and it doesn't think that the door is being open. Most of the time I do it this way. That way it controls all the doors. Some people would hook it up individually to every single door via diode, and you're more than welcome to do so. But this one wire does literally all of everything, all the doors. So anytime the dome light kicks on when you open the door, the alarm goes off. So like I said, some people do it differently. I do it this way. More power if you do it another way. But yeah, it'll be the blue wire on this black plug at the fuse box. So red, white to blue, and that's done. All right, I went ahead and moved on to the brake wire. The brake wire would be on this plug right here. It'll be the bottom blue. So you connect your blue white to the blue, and that'll send positive signal to the brakes whenever you press the brake pedal. For the parking light, it'll be the green white. I went ahead and kind of routed everything. It's this tape wire. Now for this one, there's 3 different greens. So this is where you have to use a voltmeter just to make sure. I already did that, as you can see. Basically, the parking light switch will have 12 volt signal on the off position, and then when you turn it to the parking light, it will go to ground, which means it'll zero out, meaning no positive signal. So like I said, I already did that, but this is one time. This is the kind of instance where you cannot use a test light, because you are going to where the airbags are and things like that, and you don't want negative going to a positive when you're testing. So voltmeter is the best one for this one, since you can't really see where the plug is. You also can take this off if you want, and you can go directly to the switch, so you know which one it is. It'll be the green wire, but I caught it from here, so I didn't have to do any of that. So it's already tagged, tested, and checked, and everything is working. So yeah, that's the parking light. So since we got the parking light, we moved on to the Tach and immobilizer data wire. This is going to be on the OBD2 plug. The yellow black, which is the Tach signal, would go to the black white, and the immobilizer data from the blade TB would go to white, which is right here. So orange black to white, yellow black to black white. So that'll take care of it. I will go ahead and start programming everything. I will show you how to do that. So let's go ahead and do that. Programming mode. All right, to program the blade TB, all you have to do is put the key in the ignition position on. Don't try to start it. Don't try to crank it. Excuse me. Just on the 2 clicks, you will see the LED turn green. That basically will tell you that the immobilizer had been programmed, so it'll allow it to remote start. So watch for the key, watch for the light, inserting the key, accessory, ignition, and there's the green light. At that point, it's pretty much programmed, so it'll allow it to remote start. I will double check on the settings before I even try to remote start it, just to make sure. But overall, that's pretty much all it is. Only thing left is running the LED, running the remote antenna, running the shock sensor, and it's pretty much almost done. So like I said, don't get discouraged about what it looks like currently. I don't like making everything look so perfect while I'm still wiring. I kind of leave all that on the end. That way everything has a slack. I know where everything is running. But go ahead and run the antenna all the way to the top, generally about in that location. The shock sensor I will mount right here. So it's against the metal. Don't try to put it on the harness. Although I have seen that it will not distribute shock if you install it to a harness. It needs to be metal. So yeah, let's go ahead and start doing that. And we are almost done. Alright, since you have the immobilizer programmed, you will move on to learning the Tach signal. Basically what you will do is Obviously insert the key, let it run and let it idle for a few minutes. Once the idle is stable, what you have to do is step on the brake, and then you have to hold the remote start button for 3 to 4 seconds. Once it learns the tach, the parking light will flash one time. That basically confirms that it did program the tach. I was gonna do it later, but the motor is so loud and the fans are going that you won't even be able to hear the clicking of the brain. But pay attention to the parking light. It will flash once, and then you will hear a click from the brain itself. Once that is pretty much done, tach is programmed. Now to test it, let's lock. Remote start. It will unlock. And then it'll lock back and arm. That's where the double pulse disarming come from. Basically, it will unlock the driver's door first, and then the second pulse will disarm the alarm, factory alarm, and then unlock all the doors. So it's doing that before remote start, that way to prevent the factory alarm from going off, and then it'll lock back after once it's running. So nothing stays unlocked for security purposes. So, and that's also why the second accessory was not needed, because all it does is power the radio. So as you can see, it's not too hard, and I would say a beginner's level. I mean, if you have a basic understanding of 12 volt, if you can check the power, you can check the ground, then you should be fine installing this. So I'm getting ready to prepare everything for being taped up and covered. As you can see, just kind of zip tie things to know where you kind of want everything to be. Here's the antenna, shock sensor wire. Shock sensor is mounted right here, set at number 2, just to kind of get it started. Got everything there. I did place the brain all the way up there, so you can see it's not hitting the e-brake. And then zip tie it all. So far that's pretty much it. I mean, I did run the antenna. I usually stick that on last, but so far everything is working like it should. Just kind of going through it, testing it out real quick. So far, so good. So I'll go ahead and start putting everything back together and show you more of it outside. Like I said, overall, it's not too hard. It's definitely not too easy, so I would say it'd be right in the middle. Just kind of have to take your time, be patient, and kind of follow through. So, like I said, overall, it's not too bad. So we just finished the remote start installation. Just going to show you real quick. Lock. Don't need to unlock it. Remote start. Hold the key symbol. And you are done.